Okay, yeah, it's 9. Good morning, good evening. Thank you so much, Vijayji and Pranayji, for an excellent session. I was trying to learn how to say ears in Sanskrit. I think it's a work in progress. Good morning, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another exciting session of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Over to you, Nitinji. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Sandhya. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Vijayji, for a beautiful session. Even I couldn't follow much, so Bahu Samichanam, Dhanyavada, Namo Namaha, Puna Milama. All right, so good morning, good evening to all of you. Hope you had a great weekend and excited to be back. I'm always excited to be back on Mondays. So we'll get started. Today we will explore, something, a force which pushes us down, which basically stops us from realizing our full potential. And what is that force? We'll see if we can get to that. Lord Krishna is going to respond to that, but Arjun is going to ask that question, and we will at least scratch the surface around it today. So let's get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. A very warm welcome to all of you once again. Let me share my screen and we will get started. Are you able to see my screen? Not yet?
Yeah, now
No?
we can.
Okay, great. Wonderful. All right, so let's get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right, Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your next week, new week. Let's get started. So today we're going to go to verse 3.36, in which Arjun asks a very, very important, intelligent question, and we'll see what he's asking. And I'm sure we can relate to it in a lot of ways. So let's recite this shloka. Like always, you're welcome to follow along. Arjun Uvacha Atha Kena Prayuktoyam Papam Charati Purushaha Anichhanapi Varshaneya Baladeva Niyojitaha. All right, do we have?
Yes, Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Arjuna Uvacha Adhakena Prayuktoyam Papam Charati Purushaha Anichannapi Varshneya Baladiva Niyojitaha.
Radhe Radhe. Okay, let's take a few more hands.
Rahulji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe. Arjun Uvacha Athken Prayuktoyam Papam Charati Purushaha Anichanapi Varshraneya Baladivni Nijitaha. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice, Rahul. Radhe Radhe.
SSPG, Surya Prakash ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe SSPG.
Radhe Radhe. Good morning, Nitinji. Atakena prayoktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi vasneha baladipaniyojitaha.
Very nice, SSPG. You said good morning to me. Let me return the favor by saying good evening to you. Okay. All right, let's move on.
Dinesh,
More hands.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Dinesh.
Radhe Radhe. Arjun Uvacha Atha Kena Prayuktoyam Papam Charati Purusaha Anichanapi Varsena Baladiva Niyojitaha. Radhe
Very nice.
Radhe.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Shyamji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Shyamji.
राधे राधे अर्जुनुवाच अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पुरुषः अन्निच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलादेव नियोजितः. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe. Very nice, Shyamji.
I'm giving preference to those who have their videos on. I encourage everybody to turn their video on, especially if they want to recite. Samji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
अर्जुन उवाच अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पुरुषः अनिच्छन् अपि वार्ष्णेय बलादिर्नियोजिता.
Very
Radhe Radhe.
nice, Shyamji. Radhe Radhe. Vandana ji, thank you for turning on your video.
Yes, thank you so much.
I think
Radhe
you're going to
Radhe.
make your debut today with your video.
अर्जुन उवाच अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पूरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलादिव नियोजितः.
Thank you, Vandana ji. Very nice. And you are from Frisco, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we have another Vandana ji. She's from Mumbai, I believe. Yes.
Mm.
Okay, very nice to see you, Vandana ji. Okay, we have one more hand, right?
Yes, two, including me. Riyaji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Riya ji.
Arjuna uvacha ata kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichanapi varsneya baladiva niyojitaha.
Very nice, Riya ji. Your video is overdue by 4 times now. Okay, you'll have to turn it at least 4 times next time around. All right, let's move on. Sandhya, last but not the least.
Thank you. Arjun Uvacha Ath Kena Prayuktoyam Papam Charati Purushaha Anichannapi Varshneya Baladeva Niyojitaha.
Very nice. Thank you, Sandhya. So let's get started. In this shloka, Arjun is asking Lord Krishna, why is a person impelled to commit sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if by force? O descendant of Vrishni, he's asking Krishna. Right? Very important question. Doesn't it happen? Sometimes it's fun actually doing things, even though we may know that they are not good or should be doing. So he's asking this question, why do some people, they feel impelled to do that sinful activities? So let's go a little deeper into this. Okay, we'll see what Lord Krishna responds probably tomorrow. But let's till the ground on this one today. So today we are going to talk about, somebody's pushing somebody down, right, as if by force. So what we are going to talk about today is, what is this force preventing us from reaching the highest ideal? So we are trying to climb up or move towards our higher nature, but there is something that is pushing us down. Okay. So this question is a very pertinent question that Arjun is asking, and how beautifully Lord Krishna is, like I said, he's a master psychologist, right? So he's going to tell you exactly what happens and what pushes you down. And it's a very beautiful answer that he's going to give. And if you think deeply about it, of course, you have to agree, this is how it goes. So the fundamentals, building blocks or mechanics of our psychology is what he's presenting to us in Bhagavad Gita. It's like read yourself like a book, so that you can make the course corrections as needed based on how deep we can relate to the narrative that he's telling us, because of the play of gunas, because of all the sanskars or indelible impressions we have on our mind. There are certain things we do, and he's telling us this is why you do it. Okay, so we'll get into that, but like I said, we are going to till the ground on this one today, so let's get started. Okay, before we get started, so here is Swamiji. I mean, he met our Honorable President Draupadi Murmuji. Okay, so it was a very historic moment from that sense. So the first picture is good, but the next picture is even better. Okay, I'll tell you why. You see here, and what you see in the hand. Now, believe your luck or not, okay, this is what we get to read every day. He presented this Bhagavad Gita to our Honorable President. And we are the fortunate ones who have been reading it even before our president, okay? So you can pinch yourself for that. So I think they had a pretty good conversation around, how India is fast emerging as, a hub of spiritual wisdom that we have always had. It's like we sitting on a gold mine, and the need for it to spread all around, because people who are understanding it are actually leveraging the benefits of spiritual science. And we are one of those fortunate ones. So he gifted his Bhagavad Gita, and we are the fortunate ones who read this Bhagavad Gita every day. All right, with that said, let's move on. So we spoke about this concept of Rag Dvesh being two sides of the same coin. Attachment and aversion are two sides of the same coin. And we said that aversion is nothing but negative attachment. It's the other way. It's just a negative attachment, nothing more than that. And he's saying that one should not come under the influence of attachment and aversion. Rag and Dvesh is something we got to be really mindful of, because it's only because of Rag and Dvesh we keep on committing binding karmas. Sometimes uplifting karmas, sometimes karmas that are downgrading us. Okay, because resentment, bitterness all comes from that only. So we spoke about this concept in our previous shloka, and the key is to be closer to the equanimity state, the balanced state, so to say. So in physics, they say the amplitude, right, on either side. So over time, we need to reduce our amplitude until we become Sthit Pragya. Sthit Pragya means, it's given, Bhagavad Gita, the definition is given like when you have a flame in a without air, it's still, that is how that state is. Okay, that's the aspirational state where we don't fluctuate with every passing moment, right? Our mood should not be like, it should be like Phoenix weather, consistent. Okay, it doesn't change, always remains hot. It should not be like Dallas weather, which is changing every few minutes, okay, or every few hours. So if you don't like the weather, just wait for another hour, or you may like it. Okay, so it just keeps on fluctuating. So consistency is the key, where the fluctuation should not happen. So in cricket parlance, it says it's like playing Australia or South Africa. You always know what to expect because there is consistency. And if you play Pakistan, anything can happen. One day it can beat the world champion, other day it can get defeated to Bangladesh. So that fluctuation is not there. Consistency, even if you go to elite colleges, they look for consistency. They don't want to see a lot of fluctuation in your grades. Sometimes you're doing this, sometimes this, because there's no consistency, there's no predictability. Bhagavad Gita is telling us as well, bring in consistency. That amplitude should be reduced, and the more you are aligning to that consistency thing, equilibrium around, regardless of the situation, circumstances that you are subjected to, the more your odds of succeeding on this path would be. Okay, so let's move on. Now, Arjun wishes to lead a divine life, but finds the advice difficult to implement. So he asked Lord Krishna what is very realistic and representative of human struggle. And then he asked, what makes one succumb to attachment and aversion? He asked that fundamental question. There must be something, right? If there is a son, there has to be a mother as well. You've got two sons, attachment and aversion. Then what is the root cause for that? That's what he's asking. So let's move on. Let's continue on this. Attachment, aversion, we have spoken about it, two sides of the same coin, fluctuations as we look at it. And then he asked that what is that force that prevents us from reaching this highest or the high ideal that we go for? It almost seems like there's a force preventing us from climbing up. It is pushing us down. I think Vivekanand had also given this verse. I think that it's an unfoldment life, or this universe is an unfoldment of situation and circumstances pressing us down so that we can come out of it bigger and better. Okay, that is the whole idea. So that is a question that Arjun is posing. So now let's get back to, this is who we are, right? The soul, not the body. Now, if you do stealing, let's talk about some of the activities. Let's say we do stealing, or we file a court case just to prove something, even though we may be knowing it is not right. Or we do corruption, take money under the table, which is often called speed money these days. And then, or commit murder, kill people. People kill people as well, right? Or swindling. There are so many scams that happen. And extortion, all these oppression, all these bad things. Right? And now I'm saying bad, and we kind of agree, I would say. So the point here is, when these things are done, can we make an excuse that we did not know these activities are not sinful? I mean, on what basis we can say they are not sinful? Is there a basis for us to say they are not sinful? Anybody who wants to take this question quickly, and then I will move on. Let's say somebody does this. Is there a reason for the person to believe that it is not sinful? By the way, Duryodhan had said the same. It's not that I don't understand what is dharma or adharma, but it's my nature which is impelling me to do so. Okay, that much he felt the compulsion to do so. Yes, Sandhya, you wanted to say something?
I mean, I think only in one scenario, if one is doing it via karma yoga, not, I mean,
Swindling by a karma yoga. Okay, that'll be
no,
interesting.
I don't know. I mean, in case such scenarios,
Okay, possible, hypothetically.
like
You
Arjuna
may
was
make it
kind of
so
giving, huh?
contextual. You may make it contextual, right? Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Yes, Preeti ji. Radhe Radhe, good to see you. Can
It's always a pleasure to get back into your classes, Nitinji. A lot of pleasure. Pleasure is a small word. Okay, without doing much ado, I think that 16.1, 2, and 3, we have a list of things that one must do and one must not. So neither of these fall into that category, and hence they are a sin. Everyone is a sinful, each one is a sinful activity. Is that what it is?
True. So yes, you rightly related it to that verse where Lord Krishna is going to talk about Devic gunas and demoniac and Devic qualities, and these certainly do not fall into Devic gunas. So stealing also, like if somebody steals, even thieves have a code of conduct amongst themselves. They're not going to steal from each other, right? If you steal from a thief, they will also mind it. So that means even they don't agree, it is a good thing to do. So something in us, something innate to us, something very deep to us, something inherent or innate to our nature tells us it is not a good thing, right? It is very, very integral to our existence, which is going to tell us, it is not good. But we somehow overpower that and then continue to do that. So basically, nobody can truly make an excuse. They would just know it. They would just know it. Okay, it is not right. Something will tell them, knock, knock, it's not right. But then over time, of course, people, our mind is good at justifying itself. Cooking up stories and saying, playing a victim card or circumstance card or whatever it may be. But somewhere down the line, it is not good. Okay. And so basically, it is coming from something very deep within. And that's what Arjun is asking. What impels us to commit sin? Okay, what is the driving, motivating factor behind it? First of all, you know it somehow, but there is something motivating factor behind it as well, right? That's something we'll get a little deeper into it. Now let's move on. Now there's something called a conscience that makes us feel remorseful while committing a sin. It happens, right? That something called conscience. How are you going to face your conscience no matter what you do? You may be able to justify it to the world, but you have to answer your conscience. Yes, Sam, you wanted to ask something?
Yes,
Is it while committing a sin or after committing a sin? Sometimes when I make mistakes, I feel like I'm doing it right, but after I see the consequences, then I feel little remorseful. But then again, I justify myself. So it fluctuates like
Let's
that.
talk about any of these activities. Let's say Sam wakes up one day and decides to give somebody money under the table or does an extortion, okay, swindles money, steals, commits a murder. You think you'll be justified before you doing that. That is what we are talking about, right? After is there, but even intuitively you would know that what you're going to do is falling a little out of line, is what we are talking about here. Okay, so, or maybe not in your case, that might be there as well, but I'm just throwing out this idea. We can have a discussion with people around it. But typically beforehand also, it's not just the consequences part of it, because there may not be any consequences, right? You may get away with it. You may have committed a scam and live happily ever after in this life, right? Results are not necessarily dished out to you in this life. It may come one life after, two life after, maybe 50 life after. Then if there are no consequences, would you be happy? No, I think it goes much deeper than that. Now, the goodness, that is the nature of the soul. It is the nature of the innate nature of the soul, right? We crave for virtuous things. We like honesty. There's so many virtues everybody like. If you speak to people, you would hardly come across anybody who would say, cheating is good, robbing is good, hurting people is good. You would hardly come across anybody. People will say they have been wronged, but the wrong things they will not be able to relate to. You'll say, this is the best person I'm talking to whenever you talk to somebody, because there is an innate desire for us to feel good or to be good. Okay. Then things happen, and then of course we justify and we end up doing stuff around it. But the goodness, it is the innate nature of the soul that gives rise to the voice of conscience, so to say. So when we do something pricks us, right? I think there was a Macbeth play when she would see blood on her hands, Macbeth or something. I think there was a play, I've forgotten, right? She would not be able to sleep because she had committed, I think she had committed a murder. To basically, she had some kind of an affair going, and she killed the king by teaming up with her, lover, and she could not sleep. She would always see blood on her hands because her conscience continued to prick her afterwards. Okay, I think there was a famous play for that. So it is based because our soul rejects it. That is how deep it goes, because it is a fragmental part of God. Goodness is inherent to all of us. We all appreciate good qualities. We all detest. Given a choice, nobody would like to become bad. But then things happen, people justify, and our mind takes over, and all those things do happen. But this goes much deeper, the voice of our conscience. Now, this conscience that I'm talking about is grounded in the fact that God is the abode of virtue. And as his fragments, we all have an innate attraction for virtue and goodness. If you find somebody, maybe we can check out with the audience. I mean, have you come across somebody who has said, I like to do this? There's a term called masochist in English, where people enjoy inflicting pain on others. There might be, but very few. They may fall into demoniac qualities. In fact, Lord Krishna has also said, I think in our scriptures, it is said that there is a category of people which actually relishes in seeing other people suffer, but very few. But those, they truly fall into demoniac side, not the virtue. So this conscience that I'm talking about is something like it is grounded in the fact, because we are fragmental parts of God, and being part of all perfect, all virtuous God, these qualities, there is an innate desire for us to manifest it to the fullest potential. Yes, Monica, you had a question?
Yes, Monica ji, Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Nitin, Radhe Radhe, everyone. So, Nitin, there are people who are maybe mentally challenged, and they don't really understand, but they enjoy it. So, is it because of their past karma, or their like demon kind of characteristics or something? How do you?
See, God doesn't impart characteristics. If that was the case, it would be very unfair. I would complain, I will sue God, say, why did you give me these kind of characteristics and some other person virtuous characteristics? So end of the day, it's our own thought process, our own choices, own exertion of our free will on the wrong side that results in these kind of side effects that happen from lifetime to lifetime. So we are the authors of our destiny. God is a perfect justice dispensing referee, so to say. Because if that was the case, it would become very whimsical. Somebody's made a criminal and somebody's made a saint. What's the point then? You can always blame God for your activities and say, you made me like this, so I'm compelled to do that. That's not the case. It's our choices, our thought process, our resentment, our bitterness, our exertion of free will, our intense desires around something that could land us in these kind of situations. Nothing else. And that is why spirituality says first of all come to the equanimity side, and second of all, in conjunction with that, we need to continue to purify our thought process so that we can keep on improving the quality of our mind. So spirituality is all about improving the quality of our mind. The day our antakaran is shuddh, the job is done. There's absolutely nothing else to be received at that point. It is pure. God is going to pour all the milk. Right now, the vessel is dirty. Even if he pours the milk, it will curdle. And even if he pours the milk, it may leak out because there are so many holes, perforations there, right? And first of all, he can't even pour the milk because the vessel is upside down. Okay, it's the direction itself is wrong. So we have to first correct the direction, then we have to fill the holes, and then we have to purify it so that the milk that is poured in does not curdle immediately. So all three things are covered as part of the spiritual progress, antakaran shuddhi, so to say. But we are the authors of our destiny. God is not dispensing something which will give us a handicap, just for the sake of it. It's our lessons only that we invite upon ourselves in every life. So that was a short answer to your long question.
Yeah. Radhe Radhe.
Okay. If you can't convince them, confuse them, okay? Talk so much. Anyways, let's continue. We can get back to more questions. So intuition, let's get into that intuition part of it a little bit. We intuitively know that these deeds to be sinful, right? We spoke about it. Intuitively we know that because it's coming in from something very deep, and that something very deep is definitely not our body. It's definitely not our mind. It's definitely not our intellect. It's definitely not our senses. Okay, something deep means who we truly are. Yet we commit such acts as if some strong force is impelling us to do them. Arjun wishes to know what that strong force is. That is what he's asking. Okay? And that force is really impactful. We feel helpless in front of it. Now, conscience is a cognitive process that elicits emotion and rational associations based on an individual's moral philosophy. It's a very complicated definition. Hope it makes sense. Okay, it's a cognitive process that elicits emotion and rational associations based on an individual's moral philosophy or value system. Okay, so conscience is also part of it can be programmed, right? By building your value system or your morality around proper principles and not based on certain foundation which may be shaky or which may be based on people's opinion and stuff like that. So conscience is actually, from that sense, it is to some extent programmable as well. Okay, and let's move on. And intuition is something which is nothing but the voice of a conscience itself here. Now, if you look at it, this is the robbery I spoke about, right? That perfect heist you can pull off like it happened in Mission Impossible and Pathan. Now, when you commit theft, he'll be punished by the state law. Now, he's heard it from lawyers, from friend. He has heard it from scriptures also. No religious scripture will say you go on stealing. No scripture says you go and become a thief. Law also says you don't become a thief. Now, the robbers, they have heard it. And they have even seen people getting arrested by police for the same. Still, they take their chances. They know it is bad. Still, they commit theft. Why? This is the big question. Now, man is forced to commit sinful activities. What is that force? Is what the question is being asking is, you do it, you must do it. You are doing. Sometimes our conscience bids, no, don't do it. But we forcibly still go ahead and do it. Okay, that is how powerful it is. So what is that force? Again, very intelligent question in that sense. So we're just posing the question only. We're not going to give an answer. Okay, that will take Lord Krishna another shloka to answer that. What is that force? It's a very, very important question. And most of the time, we all know what wrong or right we are doing, and still we do it. Why so is again the same question. Like I said, right, there's a code of conduct between robbers and thieves also. They don't do it with each other. It's like, we will steal, but we will not steal from each other. And if they do that, they have very hard penalties for each other. They also follow. Those thieves, they are dishonest with others, with honest with each other. That's ironical, right? Isn't it? That is how it goes. Because they also value good virtues. They will value honesty with each other, not with other, but honesty is still being valued, not stealing is still being valued, and that is how it goes. Now let's look at it. This is the graph of our life, right? From start, birth, to it's a B to D journey, right? Swamiji so beautifully explains this. Life is a B to D journey, birth to death journey, and in between comes C, and the C is the choices that we make for soul's evolution and inner growth. So choices, they are meant to be made so that our soul continues to evolve and not devolve, and it results in our inner growth, right? Not external adornments. So from a worldly standpoint, how rich you are, how much you can show off your opulences, how much famous you are, how much power you can wield, how much you can impress people, all the external things matter. From a God standpoint, from a spirituality standpoint, how much inner adornments do you have? How much virtues you have decorated yourself with? How much love you have developed for God? That matters. That matters, and that is the true wealth that we carry from lifetime to lifetime. Okay. There was a guy who was very rich. Okay, it's a story, I think, Guru Nanak Dev's story. He was very rich, and he used to show off his wealth by putting a flag in front of his house. So when he would have 10 lakhs or 1 lakh, he'll put one flag. When he'll have 20 lakhs, second flag, third flag, fourth flag, 5th, 5th, 6th, 7th, like this, he'll continue putting flashing the flags in front of his house. So Guru Nanak Dev thought it's a tutor moment for him now. Okay, let me coach him. Gurus, when they come, they are always operating out of karuna, mercy for others. So he said, okay, let me give him some food for thought here, because he's so obsessed with flashing his wealth here. So he sends his disciple. He said, he takes a needle, gives it to him. He tells his disciple, give it to him and tell him, return it to me in my next life. Okay, next life, return it to me. You keep it and return it to me next life. And this guy had a moment, epiphany moment. My goodness. I'm not even able to take this needle along with me. How can I return it? And what about this whole wealth that I'm accumulating and flashing with so much of pride, right? Even a needle cannot be returned in next life. So what to talk about this wealth? So when we board a aeroplane, they don't allow us to take certain things with us, right? They don't allow us to take water beyond a certain ounce and stuff like that. Of course, not firearms are not allowed, bombs are not allowed, right? For good reason. Similarly, when we move on to the journey of next life, we all have to leave it behind. And the only thing that we can carry forward is the spiritual wealth that we're talking about. So whatever evolution our soul has had and whatever inner adornments we have made is the only thing we can carry forward in our life. Okay. And then moving on, the voice of conscience. So the question that I want to pose real quick and have a bit of, what is this voice of conscience? Okay. And is this voice audible for guidance always? Let's talk a little bit about it, because it could be a tool. Can it be a tool, reliable tool always? That concise that we talk about. If yes, why? If not, why? Before we tackle the broader question that Arjun is asking, which Lord Krishna is going to respond to tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. That answer we are not going to give today, because it's a very important concept to understand, and we'll understand it very slowly and build on that for the rest of the week. So is this voice audible for guidance? Always. Before we get into that, I wanted to ask you, are you a romantic? You can raise your hand if you think you are. We'll get back into discussion. Okay. Monica ji certainly is okay. Good to know that. Anybody else is? Shyam ji's, Pallavi ji's. All of you are okay. Wonderful. It's good to be romantic. Okay, I'll tell you why. Because to fall in love with God is the greatest romance. Okay, so if you have been in that through that process, it becomes easier for you. Okay, that doesn't mean you're going to find somebody to fall in love with and then not necessarily, you don't have to. But to fall in love with God is called the greatest romance. And are you adventurous? Who is adventurous here? Okay, adventurous also. You're making it even better. Okay, so somebody is romantic and adventurous both, even better. Why? Because to seek him is the greatest adventure. Okay, that is the greatest adventure. So if you are both romantic and adventurous, life is set. And to find him is basically the greatest accomplishment or achievement, so to say. Okay, so you can actually dovetail it to your benefit and advantage, because these are great assets to have on this path. Okay, being a romantic, all the saints, Rasik saints, you can't beat the romance that they have for God. If you're adventurous, then take on this journey. That will be the most satisfying journey you'll ever undertake. And of course, it is going to be adventure because you'll have newer, fresher, and more delightful realizations at every step. So this adventure is going to be filled with thrills throughout the journey. And of course, to find him is a great achievement. There's no better achievement than seeing God and being able to talk to him and realize him one day. So that is how this journey unfolds. All right, few hands are raised. Is it to the discussion or what I brought up? Let's get the discussion going for today before we move on to our next segment. Yes, Sandhya.
So this voice of conscience. So I don't know if so even lying is put in the same category, right? Like there is a voice of conscience that may say that one shouldn't lie. But in certain context, given the higher purpose that can be achieved, um, one may have to kind of, as we learn that when it comes to dealing with the world, we have to choose the best way, which allows us to do service of our God easily. Right?
Yeah. So when it comes to talking about lie, this important question I would like to clarify it from Swamiji. Is it okay to stay silent or to lie also? Because lying actually it depletes our punyas, our devic virtues when we do that. So call it basically staying quiet, lying, or just saying the truth, because that could be harmful, right? Which one would be the best option? Because lying is, at least I've not heard, but I would like to clarify it, because in some situations lying might be better, right? So can we do that in those cases if our conscience is saying, or we stay quiet, or we avoid it? I don't know. I mean, that is something I would really like to, understand from Swamiji. Because my understanding is, earlier I would do that in light-hearted conversation, but I've stopped doing it because what I've understood is when you do around, it takes away your merit. It's so difficult to acquire it, and why to let go of it just like that. So consciously, I put in an effort not to. Okay. But to your point, there may be some scenario situations where lying, like if somebody is dying, to give them happiness or to we may accelerate their exit if we tell them something. I don't know in those situations is it acceptable or not. So is it okay to overpower it in those situations or not? But the point here is, the question that I posed is, your conscience will still tell you it is something, will make you a little uncomfortable about it. And where is it coming from? And is it something you can always listen to or not, is what we have posed. But I get your question. I think that's something we need to clarify a little more.
Yeah.
Good question. Yeah.
Urvi,
Yes, Urvi?
Radhe, about the voice of conscience, like I don't know much about it, and I don't know if it is always audible or not. But just one thing which I've experienced is, like whenever I do something which is not aligned to the spiritual values, and especially when I was like not following Maharaji properly, few months ago. So it was like not only a voice, it was a shout coming out, and I was so uncomfortable because of that. It was a battle going on. Something I was doing externally, something else, and inside someone was shouting actually, what is this, what is this, and then it just pulls me back. So that has always been helpful for me. So obviously there is some conscience and some voice coming out from inside, and for me that's a shout.
No, a shout and a scold is even better. But I'll tell you my personal experience. When you take on a project to align to some virtue, right? Whether it's not even saying lie, not even in a jokingly or half-heartedly or things like that, or whatever you want to work on, there is something that starts knocking you. It's like some kind of a what do you call that, voice is activated within you, which is going to say, it's okay, it's happening. Previously that wouldn't be the case, but when you start to work on it, something starts knocking. So I don't know what is that. You will realize something is telling you, hey, you're going out of line now here. That's an interesting thing, I'll tell you, by the way. So sometimes there are times when I'm on a call and I get another call, okay, and I switch calls. Not at the expense of my office work. Of course, I know that call is more of a formality to stay back on that call, because my job, whatever I'm supposed to know or tell, is done. Now, if I get another call from home or somewhere else, I get a lot of calls. I switch calls by saying that, hey, I'm getting onto another call. Okay, I don't have to say the entire truth that I'm getting onto another call which is not related to office guys. Okay, so please excuse me. I simply say I'm switching to no, that's not a lie, right? So I can't do that. So that's why I'm saying. But the consciousness is always saying, don't lie. If they ask me which call, then I have to say that. But nobody has asked me so far. Okay, and I'm entitled to switch calls because they know I'm triple booked in my meetings. So that card I play, but I refrain from lying. But nobody's asked me. So if somebody asks me, then I feel okay, I have to tell them. But so far, nobody has. So, anyways, that's another way of pushing the boundaries on truth as well. Okay, let's hear from other participants.
Jonji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, how is everybody? I hope everyone is doing well. Okay, if I can answer both questions quickly. So I think from my understanding, we all know lying is wrong, but my understanding from a faith leader is that the only time you're permitted to lie is if it will save your life. That's what I heard or understand. I don't know if it came from the scriptures, but if it is to save your life, then you're allowed or permitted to lie to save your life. I don't know how true if
I
that's
can
in our
validate
scriptures.
it, Swamiji. At least I've not heard it.
And
Since you
so
brought
yeah,
it up,
it would
we can
be nice
validate
to
that.
know. Yeah, please validate and let me know. I would appreciate that. The second, the question, the voice of conscience. The voice of conscience is actually always there. We are aware of it, but we're not in tune with it, is my understanding or my perspective. And I believe that happens based on our goodness operating at that time. All of us are operating on the three goodness. We all have those tendency, good, ignorant, and bad. But depends if what we pay attention to. If we are in tune with our conscience, we will definitely do the right thing. We will know, but I think because of our defective intellect also plays a part in it. Like we dismiss it and say no, because the bad guna or the ignorant guna is taking control and guiding us. But I believe our conscience, we're all born, I believe, with innate qualities to do good, to always do good, want to do good, to be good. But when we get carried away, whether it's
Right.
by devices, that is operating, whether it's greed, anger, frustration, whatever, we get, redirected.
Yes.
And yeah, so that's my
Right. Fair point, Jonji. Very true. My thing was the conscience part of it. How much of it can be dictated through the external programming, wherein if your value system itself is not aligned, will it tweak your conscience, right? If your value system is saying something different altogether, I think you can overpower your conscience as well, right? Conscience goes much deeper because it's the symptom of your soul at that point. It's something your soul is approving or disapproving. But your value system, if it is messed up around that particular thing, then you can overpower and neglect it completely. You can suppress that voice, right? You can justify your stealing, you can justify the heinous act you might be committing. So it's like, because we have built so many layers on top of our soul, which is our true nature, that for us it is very difficult to differentiate between whether it's coming from soul or our own intellect or our value system itself. So the more we keep on removing those layers, that's when our soul will shine forth and it will manifest its true potential, and that voice will become louder and louder and louder. But right now, I think that is feeble voice, which as we progress spiritually, we can hear, the knock, acknowledge it, and probably follow it. But there is a possibility we end up suppressing it because of our layers that we have built on top of it, including erroneous knowledge or erroneous value system that we have built because of the not getting the bona fide knowledge around it or not having done sufficient contemplation on it. Yes, let's hear from I see quite a few hands on this because it's a pretty interesting topic. See, we are getting into we are able to we are impelled to do those actions even though something inside us telling us otherwise, and then Lord Krishna is going to answer why tomorrow. Okay, let's hear now from
Anamika ji has asked a question. Isn't the voice of conscience God talking to us?
voice of conscious God talking to us. I mean, in a way, yeah, basically God is energizing our soul at the end of the day, right? And soul is pure, even though it is not perfect as God, it is still Anuchat, Sat, Anuchit, and Anu Anand. So in a way, yeah, it is fragmental part of God, and it is pure in its original state without any layers of that we have forced upon it of our mind, intellect, and other things. You can technically say it's God talking to us in that way, right? We said that there's this famous saying which says intuition is God choosing to reveal himself, and coincidence is God choosing to remain anonymous. So there are situations that happen in our life where it may be arranged for us by God, and he chooses to remain anonymous. We say, what a coincidence that happened in my life. And sometimes you get a very strong intuition, zeal, inspiration from inside. Do it, do it, do it. Even you don't know why you're getting it. And that's when God is meeting himself. He's telling you, go for it, kind of a deal. So those kind of moments do happen to all of us. Okay, I see 4 hands. We can take one at a time.
Yeah, they answer.
Yeah,
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe,
Radhe Radhe. Yes, about the lying, actually, Bhaiya, you also mentioned like about the call. So I just want to like what I felt. I may not be wrong or I may not be right. That you only know because you are an expert. So that's the thing which I felt. I want to just share the experience that I thought that there's a lot of restrictions because I'm a female naturally whatever is going on outside in the world, and my parents do not allow me to travel alone. So I have to give the excuse, like wherever I am not going anywhere, but I have to, if I want to visit the Shivir, then I have to give the excuse of going to the office trip. But later, and I really was feeling very guilty. So I just contemplated on like about it, and I felt that there is a tug of war between material thing and the spiritual thing inside my mind. So I have to identify what is the truth. Is going to God the truth or is lying the truth? Because it's not lying, it's God is the truth, and I want to go to God. I want to go to my Guru. Guru is God. So I don't think it is something which I'm lying. And I mean I planned like that. So that is the
That's
thing.
got it. I understood your question.
Like,
It's a very good, in fact, let me give you another definition which may simplify this thought process for you. Okay, Maharaj ji has said, भगवान के निमित्त किया गया पुण्य भी पाप नहीं, पाप भी पुण्य, और भगवान के निमित्त नहीं किया गया पाप पुण्य
पुण्य भी पाप है.
या पुण्य भी पाप. So basically, when you offer your sin, not sin like you have committed a sin and you're offering, basically for the sake of God, that sin also becomes what do you call that, punya, or a virtuous thing. And when you do something virtuous which is not directed at God, that is also pap. Very simple definition, thumb rule. Now, lying part, I still want to clarify. I have my things, how do we tackle that? If you have to do that for the sake of meeting our guru, meeting God and all, I think it is perfectly okay. But then if we are just making it a habit for other things, is it okay or not is something I have my doubts around it. I'll clarify and present it again once I get a chance to speak to Swamiji in depth on this topic. But good question, Dyashini. If you're doing it for the sake of meeting Krishna, meeting your guru, I think it should be okay. Like you're doing it for a bigger purpose, not for your sense gratification at that point, right? Which is for your spiritual journey. And then in that sense, I think it should be acceptable in that
Yeah,
sense. But
that's what I mean.
yeah,
It's only for Guru, not
Yeah.
for anything else.
true. You're not doing it for your own sake. That is the key thing, right? When you nimit it for the sake of something higher, perfectly okay. I see a lot of smiles here.
Yeah, some people's questions are getting answered through this.
Yes,
So
I can understand, and I've been party to such plannings as well. Okay, so we are all in it together. Don't worry.
yeah. Well, Sunil ji, thank you for waiting, Radhe
Yes,
Radhe.
Sunil ji.
Radhe Radhe, how are you all?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good. Yes, so regarding that lying thing, am I audible? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you
Yes.
perfectly. Okay.
Okay, thanks. So regarding that lying part, it's because related, because I think ये झूठ बोलना या नहीं, ये मतलब सत्य बोलना, I think all this relate to the dharma aspect, right? And I remember listening to Maharaj's speeches, and he used to tell, that dharma is so complex to understand, like, and so like sometimes you would give an example in his speech, say like, for example, in a household, so there is a lady, so she has a husband, she has a mother-in-law, and so at the same time, husband said something, and mother-in-law expects something from her. Now, who should she follow first?
Right.
And so by giving that example, like so Maharaji was just like trying to, so it's so complex to figure out what's the right thing at that particular point, and especially with the people of Kali Yuga, with so much limited knowledge and so much intellect, it's almost impossible to figure out what's the perfect thing to do.
Right. Very true.
So, and especially with regard to lying, like growing up as in a Sanatan Dharma, you always hear that story of Harishchandra, always speak the truth, give your life for truth. And I think there is also like one Niti sloka, I forgot, but it says like Satyam Bruyat, something like that. I forgot that whole line of slok that basically says, even if it's bitter, even if it is not, even if the listening person doesn't find it good, you speak the truth. You speak the truth, whatever the situation, you speak the truth. So, with that sort of thinking, my initial idea was, speak the truth, speak the whatever it is. But then, I later on, I stumbled into Swamiji's video. So there he clearly, like, so he gave an example. So, so what he basically told was, in cases of like, life-saving situations, or like, like a greatest financial ruin or something, where that sort of, hinders your survival, you can lie. So he gave there like an example. So it is Swamiji's video. I mean, I don't know if I downloaded it or saved that not, but I've seen it once. So he gave an example. So for example, there are like two bad guys, say two dacoits or something, chasing like a third person.
Robber. Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah. And so the third guy who is running from those two bad guys happens to be a good guy, but those two guys want to kill that guy. So he goes and hides in a place, say like in a place of like another person X, and that X person happens to know, okay, that guy is there in his home or in some place. The two dacoits meet that person and ask him, hey, have you seen this person or not? We need that person, we are chasing him. So in that case, if that person acts, tells the truth, now here it comes, okay, he doesn't lie, he speaks the truth because he knows that person has hidden in his home or in his property somewhere. So if he speaks the truth, then those two dacoits are like robbers who catch him and kill him. Now in that case, because he helped those two dacoits kill a nice guy, the person acts also incurs the sin of helping those two dacoits. So in that case, he just did not do anything good by like speaking the truth. He should have lied and saved the life of an innocent person, or like saved the life of a good person. So by giving that example in that video, Swamiji basically told, in such situations, it's you can speak or like, you can tell a lie.
No,
And so,
it's a
but then
good story you brought out. I've heard that story too. And that comes to basically, it's a matter of life and death for the other person. Is it better to stay quiet or lie? Both are acceptable in that kind of a scenario. I'm glad you brought that story up, Sunilji. Yeah, thank you for that.
but then again, like again, I think at the end it boils to how complex it is, so because
Yeah,
at that particular moment that individual has to decide, and sometimes he or she has to decide very quickly, right?
right.
And there may not be enough time to think about all the pros and cons, all the logic in there. So
So yeah, I think
like,
the thumb rule is not to um, do it on an exceptional scenarios. There are certain permissible exceptional scenarios, but as long as there is a knock knock happening and you're not doing it as a matter of your hobby or habit for everything and anything in life, I think it should be okay. So here, what rule of thumb that Lord Krishna is talking about is, in general, Bhagavad Gita says is, in order for you to cultivate your Devic gunas, align to the truth as much as possible, but exceptions are always there. It should not become a part of our DNA where we finish chalta hai attitude with every lie that we, it becomes a habit, part of your nature. That is something we need to guard against. But of course, there'll be situations you'll have to plot stuff, you'll have to plan stuff for something bigger, higher, and then I think it is permissible in those kind of situations. Great. Thank you for sharing that story, Sunilji. And dharma is a very complex thing. We cannot understand it. Right? Chanakya Niti, he said that, you can basically, from a sacrifice to dharma of basically, in case of, see, it's like if your house is on fire and your village is on fire, which one would you save first? Which is your bigger duty around that? So dharmas are not something straightforward we can understand. We can only cleanse our intention why we are doing something, and beyond that, leave it to God. It's not a straightforward thing at all for us to dissect.
you're
But
right. And I think in
yeah,
that situation, I would have no clue. I think I would definitely go to save my first, because if mine is not saved, how can I, think even about others, right?
true. I know that those kind of situations are there, and we are confronted with ethical, dharmic challenges all through our lives. So that is why we need to continue to work on our intention part of it and why we are doing something, and leave it to God, because we'll never be able to ace it, and God also knows that. Thank you, Sunilji. Wonderful example you brought up. Okay, 4 hands. Let's take it one by one.
Can I make announcements first?
Sure. From there, let's make the announcements, and then we'll take the remaining hands.
So I guess people in Delhi, Gurgaon might have already met Swamiji, and if not, I guess there is satsang tonight as well, if they can go and meet.
Please
And
do.
then Swamiji is coming here to Dallas. So we have satsang on Sunday, on April 16th. With Swamiji. So I have already posted the announcement about that. People who are in Dallas definitely will be there in person. And those who are not there in Dallas can attend this virtually. So do not miss out on that.
Wonderful.
And then feedback tracker, I'll again post the link of that as well. So mainly these are the announcements for today. Family camp, if you have not yet registered, consider registering for it. It will be a 7-day treat. People are coming across different parts of the world. So yes, that's all about the announcements. There is one question, if I could quickly read that, Nitinji.
Sure.
Falguni Desai ji is asking, sir, is there any technique or method by which we can hear the voice of conscience more often and clearly to get guidance?
I think there's a stethoscope I'm aware of. I don't know. I mean, it is intuition is an overtime skill you develop as you start working on yourself with a resolve. Something inside you starts knocking you. Previously you would do things without even challenging those. Now something inside you will say, hey, wait a minute. So it's like this. When you start on your spiritual journey, let's say you take a resolve that this is something I really want to genuinely work on myself with some witness consciousness, you will be pleasantly surprised to see something inside you has started knocking you, okay, from within. Try it out and let me know how that goes. It's like before going to sleep, for 2-3 minutes, just think about the things that did not go well, that you would like to work on. It could be an interaction with somebody, it could be something that you said, that you think, you distorted the facts. Could be anything. Just think about anything and take a resolve that, I need to get better at this. And every morning you wake up with the resolve, I'm going to get better with it. Keep doing this exercise for a couple of weeks and see if you are able to harness something from within which you previously did not even know existed or not. Just try this practice for a couple of weeks. Before going to sleep, check on yourself. These are the few things that, I was not able to do correctly, I would like to work on. It could be some anger movement with somebody, it could be a lying movement with somebody, it could be getting frustrated, could be anything. So you define for yourself, do this exercise for 2-3 weeks and see if something from within starts telling you, wait a minute or take a pause, kind of a deal.
Can I also add one thing regarding like listening to the voice of conscience clearly? If we get more closer to God, I think that could be a natural consequence of that as purification occurs.
True. Basically, end of the day, what's happening here is witness consciousness is one of the tools. Okay. What I spoke about was bringing in that witness consciousness as a stepping stone or the initial tool. But as your mind starts getting purified by attaching to the spiritual knowledge, to God, developing faith and love for God, this would be a natural consequence of it because God is seated within, right? He's always going to there to support you as long as you're willing to take that help. So he's going to start knocking from within. Hey, what's up, guys? You start trying to do something that you promised yourself I will not do. So he's going to start knocking from within. That will also start happening. Great, you brought that point. So it's a natural consequence of attaching your mind to God. But witness consciousness is a good stepping stone for you to, take a mindful decision around, hey, these are the things. Just reflect on it every day and see where it takes you in a few weeks' time. Thank you, Sandhya, for bringing that.
Rahul ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
I see few new hands, Anamika ji and Sairam ji after long. So let's give them preference and then we can get to Sam ji and Manish ji as well. Yes.
Yeah, I think this voice of consciousness is always there. The only thing is that whether it is louder or feeble, because if we are attached to an activity, when we do it for the first time, that is the loudest when we think, okay, this is something which is going out of the line. But once we start doing that repeatedly, that voice is feebling down and then we can't hear that. But that is where we have to bring the Tattva Gyan of Maharaj Ji and Swamiji. When I have tried that, then suddenly there is some feeling is there, oh, this is something which we were doing wrong and probably not noticing that. So I think that bringing that knowledge is one of those key things which can be done to make this voice louder and probably guide us on the correct path. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice, beautiful. Yes, Tattva Gyan is very important. Some people say, why do we need a knowledge? Well, if we can do bhajan kirtan, what's the point of knowledge? No, it is very, very important. We cannot underestimate the need for knowledge and taking it deep into our DNA. We can never underestimate that, So it's very important, and revision of knowledge is ultra super important. Maharaji said, don't think you have understood it. Same concept, even if you have understood it, you keep on contemplating for your entire life, still when the moment will come, you will be challenged. Okay, we all have done anger management course and stuff like that, but when the test will come, you will see your mind has not cooperated. Okay, so that's why a repetition of knowledge is very important. Thank you, Rahul, for stating that.
Anamika ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Anamika ji.
Radhe Radhe. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't. This is my first time talking. Are you able to hear me?
Yes,
yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you for letting me be a part of this amazing class, Nitinji.
Pleasure to have you.
Yeah, I appreciate that in spite of having a cold, I sense that you have a cold. You're able to conduct the class. So thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I was on this topic of lying. I was reminded of Swamiji's video where he, I think, I don't remember if it was a video or a, but I mean, it was definitely something Swamiji narrated where there are two patients that are in a hospital and one is near a window.
Yeah.
And he starts to, and the other patient is is not near a window, but he's not in a good state or a good place. What I remember is that the one who's near the window starts telling him what he's able to see outside,
Right.
and he tells him all these beautiful visions that he the scenes that he can see from the window, and that actually helps that patient get better. Meaning, then the story has a little twist, and I know it changes, but the point was, I think I just wanted to highlight that kind of lying seemed to be acceptable because it was for a good cause. You're actually helping
Right.
a person come out of their a sad state, I guess, or a depressed state, So I just wanted to bring that up also because I remember Swamiji has mentioned this story quite a few times. It has a twist at the end and it turns into a rather different thing altogether, but I don't know if that's necessary right now. So yeah, I'll just stop here. Radhe Radhe.
So thank you for bringing that story, Anamikaji. I remember that guy would paint a very rosy picture, right? That even though he was just staring at a wall, but he would paint a very rosy picture, how beautiful the scene outside is and stuff like that. So he was lying, of course, but that was an acceptable lie. I'm glad you brought that point as well. So I'm just collecting my information around what are the scenarios where it is acceptable so that I can start practicing some of my fabricated lies, to for something good as well. So thank you for bringing that, Anamikaji. Where are you joining us from? And pleasure to have you on our session. So how long you've been joining and where are you joining us from?
I am actually calling from the Charlotte area, Charlotte, North Carolina. So we're on the East Coast as well. It's about 11, a little over 11 here.
Late.
And yeah, no, it's the reason why my camera is not on because I'm usually putting my toddler to sleep, and if I turn the light on, he might wake up. So
Sure.
yeah, so I've been listening in, I think, for the past 2 or 3 weeks now.
Okay.
And I try to join in as and when possible because he's 3.5 years old, and my time is not always in my control.
Got it. No?
So,
I'm
yeah.
glad you're able to make it, as best as you can. Pleasure to have you on the session. So
Thank you so much, Nitinji.
love to hear
Radhe
more
Radhe.
from you. Radhe
Yes,
Radhe.
I hope to be able to be regularly attending.
Yes. Please keep raising your hand. Okay, we'll keep listening from you. So thank you so much for
Sure.
that.
You're welcome. Thank you
Very much. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Anamika ji, and please consider visiting us here in Dallas for family camp if
Good in
possible.
family camp or otherwise. We have so many things going on throughout the year. So please come over sometime. You can visit us here. Family camp is a great time, I would say, if you can sign up for that. Kids will be kept busy as well. So 3.5, 4 years, yeah, I think should be okay. But do consider it, if not this year, next year, definitely, because kids they have a time of their life here at family camp as well. Okay, they don't want to go to their parents. They are kept so busy and entertained throughout.
Awesome. Anamika ji says, I will try my best.
Wonderful.
Okay. So Sairam ji, Radhe Radhe.
Sairam ji.
Radhe Radhe. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can see you as well.
Okay, awesome. Nitinji, I was wondering, what does intuition feel like when you get it? I mean, I don't know exactly what it's supposed to feel like, but is it like a split second
gut feel, they call it sometimes, yeah,
that comes at the very beginning, but is not associated with a spoken thought?
Yeah, it's like you feel like you don't know the reason for that, right? It's called your gut feeling also, I guess, at times. But for that, you need to have a good gut, a lot of probiotics in it, I guess. But yeah, something like that, I would say. I'll tell you some few things, right? Gut feeling is like, I'll tell you, when I took a decision of doing my master's, it was not supported by any common sense. Okay, or for that matter, whether it was with regards to my job, how will it will be pulled off, or with my financial thing, investing so much. But something said, go for it, and you go for it. Same thing when we moved from Phoenix to Dallas. It just did not make sense. It was like crazy decision. You putting a house, you've all settled there. Financially, it did not make sense. You are quitting a job, and just making everything upside down. But something inside was you telling you go ahead with it. So I would say that is something gut. common sense will reject it, but something within you is telling you go for it. But you have to know to latch on to it at times, because I know that a couple of times at least I have gone with my gut only. But I don't know, maybe I can hear from others' experience how it works for others, because I can only talk for myself in this one.
I've ignored it a couple of times and found out that I've made the wrong decision. That's why I was wondering what it was like, because usually I'm used to thinking and using reason and logically speaking with myself. But then when intuition comes, it felt like I don't even know if it is intuition or not, but it's the first thing that comes to you and there is no thought associated with it.
Yeah. Common sense, there's no reason for you to have that thought, but you go with it, right? And that's kind of a gut thing. Something is telling you go for it. It'll be all right, kind of a thing, right? It's like something drives you from within, kind of a deal.
Okay. So thank you, Nitinji.
Different people will have different experience. I mean, I can tell about my experiences, which have purely gone on gut. Common sense and anything and everything would have said it just doesn't make sense, but it works out. But I would love to hear from others as well. Maybe you can put it in feedback tracker, or maybe we can create a thread around it where you have gone with your intuition and gut, and you are happy that you did, kind of a deal. It worked out for you. And maybe the other is reverse as well. Yes, Manishi, let's hear from Manishi, and then we can get to
others. Okay, Manishi, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji, Sandhya and everyone. So I've been listening to the Truth and Light. So what I've learned from Swamiji and the sessions is, and this is what I follow, is if my speaking the truth is going to help someone, then I speak the truth. If it's going to hurt someone, then I don't, then stay silent, right? And then the other idea is it's dharm, right? So like one of the example, like Sunilji gave that example. There's another example that I think Swamiji gave is where the father is dying and the dacoits are in the town and they're kidnapping young girls in the town, and the father is dying and he's asking for water. What would the son do? It's so the dharma, there's a dharma sankat or dharma kadora or dilemma as to what are you going to do, and the only person that knows is antaratma. So that person, whatever he decides by his antaratma is his dharma, and everybody's dharma is their own. You can't do anybody else's dharma because everybody's atma thoughts are different. So that's my thought. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you. Yes, very nice. Good insight, Manishi. Dharma can become very tricky most of the times, but you only take a call for that because you only have to bear the consequences of it either way, right? We can only hope that our gut or intuition is directing us, and the lesser such situations come to us, the better off we'll be. But you only hope your intuition or your gut guides you appropriately in such situations. But intention is something we always own, and that's something we can always keep clean and pure regardless. Thank you, Manishi, for that. Beautiful.
There is one more question in the chat, if I can read it.
Sure.
It's from Aparna ji. If a person is too logical and always makes decisions based on logic, are the chances high that they ignore the gut feeling or the conscience?
Yeah, it's usually flip side with Gyanis, right? Right? Which movie had this dialogue? Heart is on the left, but always right. I mean, it's on the lighter side. But yeah, when people left brain, right? People who are too analytical, they will always look at everything with pros and cons and stuff like that. So there's always a chance they will overpower their gut with their rational, logical, analytical thinking. It can happen. It can happen. So even in sports, if you look at it, so many people, they go with their gut, right? Dhoni, if you ask him, why did he give the ball to Jogendra Sharma and not Harbhajan Singh in the final of World Cup? He went with his gut, right? So something tells you to go with that. But if you're too analytical, too methodical, then you will not go with that. So you will lose out on the benefits of riding your intuition at times. That can happen for sure, right? Very calculative, methodical people will never do that. If Kumble was the captain, he goes by laptop and everything, and they will think, okay, what are my odds if I do that? What is the... But some people, they go with their gut and it pays off, and there's no other reason other than, something tells them that go with it, kind of a deal. Okay, yes, who's next?
Urvi, yeah, Radhe Radhe Urvi.
Radhe Radhe. Actually, I just wanted to ask that just now, like Nitin sir, you told that we have to give importance to knowledge as well, right? So nowadays, what I've started doing is, because for a very long time, I realized that I wanted to understand, like I've understood very few things, because understanding is when you're able to decide something. Otherwise, there is a whirlpool of feelings created inside me, because like I'm not able to understand many things. So what I do is, then okay, I'm not able to understand it, just keep it aside, and then I just leave it, because otherwise, and whatever I've understood, I just try to relate everything to that, and I just keep that 2-3 points of knowledge with me, and all other things I just keep aside. Like right now we're talking about intuition and conscience. So this thing, for a very long time, I tried to understand. I also asked this to Swamiji, and I was not able to understand. So what I did was, anyways, you just do what you're doing and just align to those 3 points and just keep everything aside.
Perfect. Keep it simple. See, Urvi, we all have to look at the framework and pick up stuff that works for us. How much knowledge is needed for us? That much of a pin. See, you need a pin to kill yourself, but you need a sword to kill somebody else. So unless you are teaching somebody, you don't need tons of knowledge. But if you want to work on yourself, few nuggets are good enough for you to continue, rather than, messing up your mind around it. So that is fine. Whatever things are making sense for you, few things are there that we need to work on, right? We need to, if you look at Shishtastakam, that shloka, Trinadapi Sunich, and that 4 instructions are good enough for us to realize God. Nothing else is needed, right? As part of that, you don't have to really, kill yourself over getting into the skin of each and every concept and stuff. Like 4 instructions, good enough. Love God, good enough. Right? But other knowledge is like, okay, when you get upset, then when you need that knowledge, okay? And that's something that will happen in parallel, right? Bhakti, we always say, right? So like Swamiji explains that it's that pop in that pill, it's a silver bullet. It'll do its magic for all other things as well. So keep it simple in your head rather than stressing over, getting every concept too deep and all that stuff. So whatever is needed for you to continue to progress is good enough. Okay, God will anyway help you on the way. I saw Sam had raised her hand as well. Sam, you can come back. Maybe we can take Swatiji in the meantime.
Oh, yes. And I just wanted to quickly give a shout out to Bharti Patel ji. She is joining us from UK. It is 3 a.m. And she's joining us at that time. And she's just messaging me that she'll try to sleep early so that she can wake up at this time and attend the class. So,
Bharti, that's pretty amazing. Swamiji talks about getting up in Brahma Muhurat. You are doing it in pre-Brahma Muhurat. So that is commendable. I can understand. So thank you so much. I'd like to tell you, we have video recordings as well. You can always look at those, in case you miss. So, because it can
I
be.
shared the link with her, and I also got her added to the WhatsApp group.
Have it. I put it on portal, and everything is available on YouTube. Although there is a week's delay, but you can always catch up on it. But
and we have Himangini ji as well from UK.
Himangini ji, that's pretty commendable as well. You wake up so early.
Okay. Swati ji, Radhe Radhe, thank you for waiting. Please go
Or
ahead.
you wanted to do the devotional segment? I know we are way over today. I think Sandhya is going to sing. She has given me an ultimatum.
Radhe.
She has to sing today. And
No, I have a question, Nitin ji. I want to just take help from you regarding this lying only. I have one situation in which I have given money. He is elder person, my relative only, and years have gone. He is not returning that money. And the situation now, I have heard that he is selling some property and then he can give that money. Still, he is thinking that it's not important to give my money back. And so I try to lie him that, no, I need money. because I helped him when he needed. And I was like lying him that, no, I also need money. You give me right now only. Because of the situation, I can come to know that he has that now he can give. Otherwise, it will be again postponed. It since years he is postponing only. So it's like my consciousness afterwards lying. I was like, oh, I'm lying. I don't want to lie because I don't want to tell anybody bad words also, not hurt anybody. But some situations are there, we have to lie or we have to say some words which are like, I even said that when you needed, I help you. It was my mistake helping you. So it was, I was feeling bad after that, saying these all words also. So it's like, what should I do in this situation?
I don't know, I can ask Swamiji on that, but you can create a need, right? You say, I'm going to take the money and put part of it with Swamiji, right? So then you have actually created a real need. So you're not lying actually in that way, right?
Yeah, I will do that because I have
So
already given that in my mind. If I
you have
get,
created,
I'll give some of the part
so you
to
have created
Swamiji's
a need.
mission.
You don't have to be very objective around how much money you need, where are you going to do that. As long as you have a need, you take it and give it, right? Part of it, that should be okay. So don't think too far ahead, but ask Swamiji in these kind of dilemmas, what would it mean? And secondly, think of it, you're helping this guy, because this guy, person will have to take a birth just to settle, give your money back. And I don't know, inflation adjusted, how much would that count up to, right? 7% compounded annually across million lifetimes. I don't know how much money he'll owe you. So you are doing him a favor by settling the score this life only. Got it? So you are actually doing a big favor to him by getting that score settled. I don't know. Otherwise, he'll have to take birth just to settle that score. That's why we sometimes end up giving money to somebody or losing money. It's because we have taken somebody's money. All these, everything balances out over a period of time. But I don't know what formula God uses to adjust for inflation. If we have taken it, 500 years back or 10 lifetimes back, you have to count for inflation also. Economy is growing. You're doing him a favor in that way. Okay, sparing him a lot of trouble down the line.
Okay, thank you. You solved my problem. Yeah, thank
But
you
give
very
it
much.
part of it to Swamiji, and all things get settled. Right? You have created a need already, so you don't even have to lie in that sense, right? You will give part of it. That's fine.
Yeah, thank you.
Radhe Radhe. Yes, Jonji, last one, and then we can get into quick devotional segment because we are way over time today. Maybe one or two bhajans, and then we'll wrap up for today. Tomorrow, by the way, Krishna's answer. Don't miss out on that, on this particular question.
Samji and Himangini ji had also raised hand, but I
Yes,
don't.
Samji, if you are there, please raise your hand again. Payal ji has raised her hand after long today, so.
I think I'm looking forward to her bhajan. Seems like she'll sing a bhajan. Jonji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe. I just want to add one more thing to the last, I guess, statement, the comment. It is my feeling that we have to be careful of what we say, because if we tell a lie, whatever we say I believe whatever we say will manifest for us. And if we say we need something, when we don't, we may in fact get what we ask for, and it may not be so good. So my feeling is we should be careful of what we ask for, what we say our need is. And I don't know that, sorry, Nitinji, but I don't know that she would be doing that guy any favor. I think God is our vindicator, and he would be the one to decide whether, if she's doing him a favor or not. I don't think anybody can take it upon themselves to say, I'm doing somebody a favor by telling a lie or saying something that is not, that she needs the money when in fact she doesn't. I don't really believe that I have the,
We're not
sorry.
endorsing a lie or saying we can take control over that. I'm saying if we have to do that, there are ways to neutralize or offset part of it, okay, in your own.
Yes,
The
I
right question
agree.
would be to ask Swamiji in this particular context, what's the right way to go, right? We cannot take
Yeah, I agree.
But
I
if
would
it
be.
absolutely must, these are some of the things you can tell yourself, at least you're offsetting or neutralizing part of that. So
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I would be interested in the answer from Swamiji as well. Thank you.
yeah, you can ask Swamiji on that, right? Or other way of looking at it is, if there's no chance, maybe we had taken money from that person and now probably that person is settling the account if there's no chance whatsoever. So too many things, right? Dharma is not something that we can sit down and say that this is the right thing to do or wrong. If you have very specific situation, ask Swamiji. I think he'll give you the best guidance around it. Yes, Payalji, are we good for singing then? Or
Himangini ji is also.
Himangini ji, yes, Himangini ji. Let's hear from Himangini ji and then we'll get into our devotional segment.
Radhe Radhe Bharti Ben. Is she still with us?
I don't know. Maybe.
Who? Sorry.
Yeah, she's here. She can hear me.
Whereabouts in the UK is Bharti Ben in?
I guess that probably Nitinji can tell you. You both can fill the
If you
feedback.
can fill out the feedback tracker, I can connect you in that way.
Please, please. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you. You can connect so please fill out the feedback tracker. That way I can connect both of you.
Yes, I've shared the link once again, so please fill that out. Okay.
Thank you.
Payal ji, thank you for waiting. Great to have you back. Radhe Radhe.
Good to see you back.
Radhe Radhe everyone. I'm here only, Nitinji, Sandhya ji. I'm attending
know you
each and
always-
every session. Yeah, it's just that not been very active because of some of the commitments. So yes, I came across these beautiful lines yesterday regarding Krishna. So I'm not going to be singing. These are certain lines which I just wanted to share.
Sure.
So it says, Krishna kaun hai? And the answer is पहली गाली के बाद सिर काटने का सामर्थ्य होने के बाद भी अगर 99 गाली और सुनने की जिसमें क्षमता है वो कृष्ण है। सुदर्शन उनके पास होने के बाद भी अगर हाथ में मुरली है तो वो कृष्ण है। द्वारिका जैसा वैभव होने के बाद भी अगर मित्र सुदामा है तो वो कृष्ण है। मृत्यु के फन पर खड़े होकर भी अगर नृत्य है तो वो कृष्ण है। और सर्वशक्तिशाली होने के बाद भी जो सारथी है वो कृष्ण है। राधे राधे।
Beautiful. Thank you for bringing that. Maybe we can bring it to our session as well. Who's Krishna? What we can learn from Krishna. Beautiful. Loved it. Thank you so much, Payalji. It was as
Thank you.
good as a song, you would have recited. So loved it. Okay.
Thank you. Radhe.
Thank you so much. And good, we were able to see you after a while. I know you are in all the sessions though, and your sister is also attending the session. We have now 4 duo sisters here, right? You have
We have multiple duo combinations. We have
multiple duo
sisters, we have father-daughter, we have Sakhi duo. We have so many duos, right?
Right. Always good to hear. Thank you so much, Payalji. All right, over to you, Sandhya. The floor is all yours now. The floor is lava. Go ahead.
Urvi and Rahul ji have also raised hand. I don't.
Yes, Urvi and Rahul, please. You want to sing a duet or one at a time?
I just wanted to sing 2 lines.
Sure, go ahead.
भजो मन मेरे आठो याम जय राम जय राम जय जय राम भजो मन मेरे आठो याम जय राम जय राम जय जय राम राधे राधे
Radhe Radhe. Very nice, Rahul. Short and sweet. Loved it. Yes, Urvi.
Yes, Urvi.
Yeah, I can also sing, like, if we have time, just 2 lines.
Yes. Go ahead. We will create time for you. Go ahead.
Okay. अपना पान रखना मेरे घनश्याम अपना पान रखना मेरे घनश्याम घड़ी घड़ी पल पल नाम तिहारो घड़ी घड़ी पल पल नाम तिहारो रटे मेरी रसना मेरे घनश्याम अपना पान रखना मेरे घनश्याम. राधे राधे.
Beautiful, Urvi. Very nice. It's a beautiful bhajan. Very melodious bhajan. And you sang it really well. So thank you so much for that. Loved it. All right, Sandhya, all yours.
I should do it now. I mean, it's. I was thinking of doing the complete bhajan. It's fine, or
How much time? 5 minutes? 10 minutes?
no, not that. Not 10
15?
minutes. I think no.
Go ahead.
I guess it will be 2 to 3 minutes. I haven't timed it, but
Okay, go ahead. I think
okay.
we have a few minutes here. And this is the last one, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay, this bhajan I heard this Sunday satsang. I just loved it. I thought I'll try to sing it.
Sure.
This reminds us about our only true relative, who is Krishna. You can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, it is Govind मेरी यह प्रार्थना है, भूलूं ना मैं नाम कभी तुम्हारा. I just, if I can quickly read the meaning so that it becomes easy for everyone to follow. I humbly pray to you, O Govind, may I never forget you and your holy name. Day and night, may I chant your divine names, Damodar, Govind, and Madhav, and call out, O Krishna, one who forcibly draws the minds of even the greatest yogis, O Yadav, who's a noble scion of the Yadu dynasty, and O friend. At the time of my death, may you be in front of me playing your flute and enticing my heart. O Lord, may I leave this body chanting Govind, Damodar, Madhav, and calling out, O Krishna, O Yadav, O friend. Dear, just contemplate in your mind, what did you bring with you when you came to this world? And what will you take along when you die? Only your devotion will go with you. So chant Govind, Damodar, Madhav. So call out to him, O Krishna, O Yadav, O friend. Wife, land, property, son, friends, and your worldly relations, all those whom you consider to be your own, none of them are your true friends. So call out to your true beloved God. What relation do we have with this material world? Why have we come to this world? And what are we doing instead? Contemplate deeply upon this and call out God. He is our eternal mother, father, friend, as well as beloved. Oh brother, do not ever forget this and sing day and night Govind, Damodar, and Madhav. Okay, this is the bhajan, and I can now probably start singing. Sorry for making it late.
No worries, go ahead.
गोविंद मेरी यह प्रार्थना है, भूलूं न मैं नाम कभी तुम्हारा. ये नाम तेरी दिन रात गाऊं, गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति. हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति, गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति. देहांत काले तुम सामने हो, बंशी बजाते मन को लुभाते. गाते यही नाम तन नाथ त्यागो, गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति. हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति, गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति. प्यारे जरा तो मन में विचारो, क्या साथ लाए क्या ले चलोगे. जाए यही साथ सदा तुम्हारे, गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति. हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति, गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति नारी धरा धाम सुपुत्र प्यारे कलत्र सद्बांधव मित्र सारे कोई न साथी हरि को पुकारो गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति नाता भला क्या जग से हमारा आए यहाँ क्यों कर क्या रहे हैं सोचो विचारो हरि को पुकारो गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति सच्चे सखा हैं हरि ही हमारे माता पिता शील सुबंधु प्यारे भूलो न भाई दिन रात गाओ गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति Thank you for the opportunity.
Very nice, Sandhya. Looks like you practiced this bhajan a lot.
Oh, I didn't practice, but I loved listening to this. So I just tried.
You're ready to sing here at RKT as well pretty soon. I can see that. Very nice. Wonderful. Sur Tal was spot on for you. Beautiful. Loved it. And a good way to wrap up our session with this beautiful bhajan, to keep this Tattva Gyan in our head, which was beautifully recited by Sandhya. So thank you everybody for your enthusiastic participation. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, where Lord Krishna is going to answer this question. What is that? And why is it so powerful? Okay, so we'll talk about that tomorrow. And thank you again. Radhe Radhe. Have a wonderful evening and rest of your day. Have a devotional day and the rest of your evening ahead. So thank you from my side. And
Yes.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, everybody. See you all tomorrow. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.